The Baltimore Ravens offense is humming right now behind the great play of Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, but some conflict is being created in terms of awards conversations early in the season. We talk about what's going on. Bill Belichick cannot stop raving about this Baltimore Ravens team. There's so much more coming up next year on Locked On Ravens.
You are Locked On Ravens, your daily Baltimore Ravens podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into another edition of Locked On Ravens, your daily Baltimore Ravens podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Oestreicher of Ravens Wire, here with you on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you so much for being here today, making Locked On Ravens a part of your day and your first listen each and every single day on this Taco Tuesday. We're free and available for you, all podcasting platforms. That includes in video form on YouTube, where you can like and subscribe to the channel. Also in audio form, you can follow along and subscribe as well for 5 days a week, plus more of daily Ravens coverage. Today's episode of Locked On Ravens is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. The Ravens 4-2 after their big Week 6 win over the Washington Commanders. Really good game, 30-23. The Ravens are able to end up on top. And now they look ahead to a big Monday night matchup with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And yesterday there was a lot of conversation about Lamar Jackson, about Derrick Henry, and there already seems to be some narratives being spun and some conflict maybe trying to be created between both Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. There's nothing wrong with those two together. Like, there's no conflict between them, but it's the narratives that are being spun up. So we're going to be talking about what those are in the first part of the show. Then Bill Belichick, he has been really impressed with what he's been seeing with this Ravens team, and he also has some concerns with this Ravens team. So we'll talk about what he had to say in the second part of the show, and then we'll continue diving into the Ravens and Commanders game a little bit more, talking about some personnel stuff and a lot of how the Ravens were able to best Washington. So let's just get right into it here, starting off in the first part of the show. Look, we're early enough in the season where MVP talks still have, a long ways to go. Offensive player of the year, defensive player of the year, all that stuff. But it's being talked about. We're now a month and a half into the season, which is crazy to think about. It feels like the season just started yesterday. Kyle Brandt of Good Morning Football ended up talking about the game between Washington and Baltimore and said that in his eyes, Derrick Henry is the MVP frontrunner. He said he'd go as far as to say Derrick Henry's the MVP frontrunner and talked about him as a scene stealer. Said that, it's a game where Lamar Jackson played great, Jaden Daniels played great, but, we're talking about Derrick Henry, and he said the takeaway should not be Derrick Henry and that, he's not doing what he's doing on all these big angry runs, and it's, been super easy for him, this, that, and the other. And look, Kyle Brandt, I don't think was saying this in any malicious intent about Lamar. Please, I don't think that's exactly what was going on here, where, again, Kyle said that Lamar Jackson played a great game, which he did. Derrick Henry's awesome, and I love the fact that Derrick Henry is getting praise like this. But the conversation was, well, wait, Lamar played great in this game. If Lamar had played like he was okay or whatnot, then yeah, you could tell Derrick Henry is MVP frontrunner, this, that, and the other. Sure. But Lamar, this is the best version we've seen of him. He had 6 incompletions on Sunday. He was dicing up this Commanders defense. And so the argument that I think I would go with personally is, well, Lamar is obviously the MVP frontrunner. And then, well, Derrick Henry, Offensive Player of the Year. We know that the MVP is a quarterback award. Kyle said that he would love, a running back, at his age to get recognition like that. And it'd be pretty cool, right? But Lamar's on this historic pace, and the comments from a lot of people that I saw on social media about Kyle's take was, man, if Joe Burrow or Josh Allen or someone else had a day like Lamar did, we wouldn't be talking about James Cook or Zach Moss or Chase Brown, or if Mahomes had a day like Lamar had, we wouldn't be talking about Isaiah Pacheco. And I get that Henry's a better player than those running backs, but it feels like, at least the response to it is, are these guys getting pitted against each other here? Where who's going to win MVP? Who's better than the other? And that's not how it should be. Again, this apparently also, and I haven't seen these clips personally, but apparently this is not the first time something like this has happened this season. I've seen that apparently Stephen A. Smith has kind of done this same thing here. And again, I personally haven't seen those clips, so I can't speak to them. But is that what's going to happen here? And Gowie on social media says here, avoid debate. NFL pundits are going to try and pit Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson against each other with premature MVP talk. Both men exude humility and have bigger goals in sight, so they'll be unfazed. The fans should have the same approach. And that's the thing, right? Like, who cares who wins the MVP as long as, one, these guys both get the respect that they're due. I think that's the biggest talking point. And two, like, I feel like with MVPs at this point, it's like, okay, Lamar has 2. Super Bowl is the goal. Like, I could tell you right now, and I think Lamar by his own admission has even said something along these lines. And if he hasn't, I think he would, is that he would trade all of his accolades for a Super Bowl. Like, that's just the type of guy Lamar is. But we have to also understand, Cal's point about, he's not doing it with these angry runs. It's been so easy. Well, why is that? Why is that? We saw Derrick Henry in Tennessee. This is Derrick Henry has been in the NFL. This is his 9th season, right? He's had great years, but it looks so much easier for him this year. Why? Because it is. Why? Because Lamar Jackson, right? And I think that also you have to factor that in and say, yeah, Derrick Henry by himself, he's doing this, right? I'm not sitting here and saying Derrick Henry is a Lamar Jackson merchant. No, Derrick Henry's a heck of a player, man. Like, I love that he's getting this love, but I think we need to add context here where Derrick Henry helps Lamar Jackson out and Lamar Jackson helps Derrick Henry out. This is a two-way street where why does Lamar look as good as he's looked this season? One, his talent, he's improved. He's gotten better in many aspects, but two, Derrick Henry has alleviated pressure off of him, something that many have wanted for Lamar Jackson for a long time. Same thing with Derrick Henry. Why is Derrick Henry looking as good as he's looked this season? One, because of his talent, because he's a really good football player like Lamar Jackson, but two, because of the fact that Lamar takes some of that pressure off of his plate, takes some of that attention away from him. And so the gravity of Lamar, the gravity of Derrick Henry, it makes for really good offensive football and really sound play. Like, these guys feed off of one another. And that is exactly what I love about what this offense is doing this season, because those guys are able to work off of each other's skill sets. But the reason why it's easier for Derrick Henry, not the only reason, but some of the reasons why it's easier for Derrick Henry, some of the reasons why it's easier for Lamar Jackson is because those guys are working in tandem together. And so when they're being pitted against each other, right, if that's what's going on, we're saying, oh, who's the MVP? Who's better than the other? Those guys don't care. First of all, I know those guys don't care because they care about winning, right? Again, MVP is a quarterback award, like, sure, but it's just a matter of, well, is Lamar Jackson going to get the credit here, or at least some of it, for saying, oh, well, he's making life easier for all the offense. Derrick Henry deserves credit. Lamar deserves credit, right? I love that both guys are getting credit, but it is, it's something that I feel like in this offense, in this version of the Ravens, why everybody's saying Lamar is playing the best football of his career, why everybody's saying that, oh, they've never seen Derrick Henry like this before, even in Tennessee, is because both guys are getting better. Derrick Henry's 30 years old, and he's still showing off things that are incredible. Lamar, about to be 28 years old, which is crazy. He's still getting better today. But Lamar and Derrick Henry feed off of each other, And it's like, oh, well, coming out of the game, the big storyline was Derrick Henry. No, I mean, both the guys were storylines. Both the guys played great. This was not just the Derrick Henry show or the Lamar Jackson show, right? Give guys both the credit. Like, give them both the credit. Lamar made things easier for Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry did his thing. And Derrick Henry made things easier for Lamar, and Lamar did his thing too. But if people are going to sit there and say, man, this was also easy for Derrick Henry because, it was only this or only that, there's a lot more to the story than that. So yes, those guys are not concerned with it. I don't think anybody should be concerned with it, but it's kind of like this, is there this like weird conflict narrative trying to be created here and stirred up between Lamar and Derrick Henry? We'll probably see it, throughout the course of the season in some way, shapes, or form. I'm sure some of these conversations, especially if both guys continue playing the way they are, they'll see. But look, you have the top rushers in the league right now in Lamar and Derrick Henry. Is a receiver in the screen game. Derrick Henry's doing his thing when called upon. Lamar with his arm is obvious. I think Lamar is a passer this year, has been the best we've ever seen. And that's because he continues to get better. The positional groups around him are better. And his gravity, both these guys just have this insane gravity to each other. And it's really hard as a defense to pick your poison there. So when you're stopping the run, well, all right, sell out for that. Lamar's going to beat you with his arm. When you're not stopping the pass and you want to load guys out of the box and cover, with more guys in zones or whatnot, put more firepower there, well, Derrick Henry's just going to gash you. So both guys feed off of each other. Both guys work in a tandem. If there's a conflict narrative, not going to work. Not going to work. Both guys work together. Both guys have immense respect for each other. They're unfazed by it. And at the end of the day, it's a joy to watch both of those guys play football. Both guys are deserving of multiple awards. And I'm excited because this offense, it's crazy to say this, but it looks as good as it ever has in the Lamar Jackson era. Coming up in the second part of the show, going to be talking about Bill Belichick, what he had to say about this Baltimore Ravens team, raved about him, but also had some concerns. So be sure to stay tuned. Plenty to talk about here on Locked On Ravens. First, the show is brought to you by FanDuel. Hey, NFL fans, we can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when we get 100 in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You're started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. So for the Ravens, man, Derrick Henry, anytime touchdown just seems like something that's going to hit every single week. So if you bet that over on FanDuel, congratulations. If you bet the over on Lamar Jackson passing yards or Zay Flowers receiving yards, probably living large over on FanDuel. Just visit FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com. And the show is brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Prize Picks has so many things that they have to offer, and I love going on Prize Picks and seeing all the new things that they put out. You can earn up to 100 times money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday, East Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts, select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. And Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going off, which ones aren't. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds to turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. And for the Ravens game in week 6, Lamar Jackson, if you picked more on his passing yards, Zay Flowers more on his receiving yards, probably a pretty good day for you over on Prize Picks. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app today, use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. We're back. Our second segment, Locked On Ravens. Kevin Oestreicher still here with you on this Taco Tuesday edition of the show. Be sure to like and subscribe in video form, follow along in audio form for 5 days a week of daily Ravens coverage, plus more. We go live after every single Ravens game, live after every piece of Ravens big news. We do bonus episodes. We have a lot of Ravens content over here on Locked On Ravens. So again, be sure to like and subscribe and follow along. And also, if you have a friend or a family member who does want daily Ravens coverage, be sure to send them our way over on Locked On Ravens. Speaking of big news, last night the Ravens ended up promoting Yannick Ngakoue to their active roster. They signed him to their active roster. There has been no correlating roster move right now. We'll have to wait and see what that is. But Adam Schefter reporting that Yannick Ngakoue up on the Ravens roster. Really good move. I mean, he had one more elevation left before they had to make a decision on him. But he showed enough. He's been awesome in the 2 games that they've played with him in their lineup. And then one more thing on the Derrick Henry thing. I love that Derrick Henry's getting this attention. Like I said, I know I said it earlier, but I just want to make it clear. I mean, Derrick Henry's playing phenomenal football. This is a guy that has over 700 rushing yards in 6 games. He's, just absolutely dominating defenses. He's a legitimate MVP candidate. Like, I don't want to take that away from him. Like, the whole conversation we had in the first part of the show, please don't take that as Lamar Jackson deserves everything and Derrick Henry deserves nothing. That's not what I was trying to say at all. I just want both guys to get their shine. I want Lamar Jackson to get his shine. I want Derrick Henry to get his shine. I'm ecstatic that Henry's being talked about like this, and I'm ecstatic that both guys are in Baltimore doing this. Derrick Henry's a phenomenal player, right? He deserves to be in these conversations, right? But I just want to provide the added context as to both guys are helping out both guys. Like it's a tandem that is working so well. I want to highlight both guys and their strengths and how they're helping one another out. That was what that conversation was about. So super happy for Lamar, super happy for Derrick. Like both those guys deserve all the positive attention that they're getting. And I love to see it for both of them. Now, Bill Belichick, obviously legendary coach with the New England Patriots for all those seasons. We know the Super Bowls. We know some of the tough moments the Ravens had against those Patriots teams. We will not speak of some of those, obviously, but Bill Belichick over the past couple of weeks has been raving about this Baltimore Ravens team, and we haven't had a ton of time to talk about what he had to say, and I'm glad we do today because Bill Belichick went on the Pat McAfee show and raved about this Baltimore Ravens team. He ended up saying they really look good as a team. They're playing extremely well offensively. Defensively, we know they're good against the run. It's just how well can they hold up in the passing game. Mentioned a bunch of other things about Lamar, praised him and what he's been doing this season, obviously with the running game, Derrick Henry as well. So the concern for Belichick is obviously the pass defense, which, yeah, pretty spot on there, I'd say. I think that's the one thing everybody's concerned about right now in Baltimore. But Belichick absolutely loves what he's seeing out of this team. And he really loves what they're doing in the run game, how they're utilizing that, and how the offense is coming together around the run game. Again, we talk about defensively with other teams, how they have to defend that, how they're using that to their advantage, Baltimore is. And that is everything that they need to do. This is a run-first team. There's no doubt about it, right? We've been saying it for years. That's what they are. But when it's working so effectively for you, and Sam Njoku, who comes on this show every week, he did a great breakdown on play action, and we'll talk about that a little more in the final part of the show, and we talk about the Ravens-Commanders game a little bit more. But the Commanders sold out to stop the run. With the Ravens, you have to be able to work play action off of that, and we've seen them get better and better and better at that each week. And so, to Belichick's point, pass offense is humming right now. Run game is humming right now. Defensively, run defense, dominating. It's that pass defense. It's that secondary. That is the biggest concern point right now. I haven't run the numbers. Actually, let me see if I can quickly run them right now while I'm doing this. But for the Ravens, this is a team that talent is not an issue in the secondary, right? Like it's just not, where you have guys like Marlon Humphrey, Kyle Hamilton, and Brandon Stevens, Nate Wiggins. Even though Marcus Williams has had a rough year, that fall off has been pretty big. He's still a guy that when he was on the field for the first 2 years, when he was healthy, he was great in Baltimore. I don't know what's going on with Marcus right now. I don't think it's a talent issue. I see a lot of people saying, and I said this on yesterday's show too, and I kind of want to clarify what I meant by this. People are saying, the Ravens will need Devontae Adams. Go trade for a corner. Go trade for a safety. I don't know genuinely where that person will play, because I don't think they're going to look. I know a lot of people would love to see Marcus Williams benched. I don't think they're going to do it. And again, I think that they need to experiment and see what's up, because if this continues, they can't have it continue. They cannot have Marcus Williams being as big of a liability as he has been. It's not going to be acceptable, especially come playoff time. But I just don't think they're going to bench him. I just don't think that's really how they operate here. If it gets super, super terrible, they might experiment with doing it. But right now, I think he's still their guy. If they bring in another safety, I feel like it'd have to be more of a hybrid third type guy that maybe would compete with Eddie Jackson for snaps. Corner-wise, I mean, it doesn't hurt to have enough corners whatsoever. We know the history behind that. But here, I have the numbers here. Through 4 weeks, Ravens are the 27th ranked passing defense in terms of net yards per attempt. They're second to last, 31st in yards given up through the air. They've given up 11 passing touchdowns, which is also 27th. They have 3 interceptions this season, which would rank 19th in the league. So the pass defense is just, it's been the weakness. It's been the weakness. If they can get that going, this team would be the favorite by a long shot. And obviously playoffs have to happen, because I don't want to lose sight of, you establish good habits in the regular season and you make sure that you're on your P's and Q's heading into the playoffs. But to me, the regular season, like, we know the Ravens are a good regular season team. That's what we were saying all offseason after they lost to Kansas City in the AFC Championship after dominating the regular season, going 13-4, right? We said, who cares? Playoffs, that's what counts, and they didn't get the job done. What I will say about the regular season so far this year, still a long way to go, but I will say about it this year, they've been much more battle-tested this season so far. Closer games. The Buffalo game was a great statement on national TV, domination, but other than that, they've been in close games every single time. 5 out of 6 games have been close. And I think that's good for them because they're 4-2. So it's not like they're losing every single close game they're playing. They've come close to a couple. They've also come close to winning. Like week 1, they were a toe away from tying or beating Kansas City in that game. So I like the fact that they are in these closer games this season. Look, you love blowout wins. Like I would love blowout wins. It's less stress, right? Less stress on the heart, on the mind when it comes to this Ravens team. But the fact that they're in these close games, they're winning these close games, like you come back against Cincinnati, that's big for confidence, right? Like against the Commanders, you kind of hold them within arm's distance and you're good there. It's a good win. And it's good experience for the secondary, but it's about play calling. It's about execution. It's about miscommunication. It's all of that. So what Belichick is saying is like, look, they're humming right now. They look really good, but the key is how well can they hold up in the passing game defensively? That is 100% the question, spot on by Belichick right there. I think, anybody would tell you that. And that's going to be the biggest X factor for this team moving forward is, I don't expect a drop off from the offense, right? I think they're too talented. Hopefully we don't see that. The run defense is incredible. Can they stop the passing game? Can they do it? They have another tough test, right? This is also a thing where they've played great quarterbacks over these first 7 weeks, if you want to include Monday night against Tampa, right? Patrick Mahomes, Dak Prescott, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, right? All these players, Jaden Daniels, now Baker coming up, and apparently the guy who has the Ravens number, Gardner Minshew, he's just, dial up. If you want a guy to beat Baltimore, just dial up Gardner Minshew, and he has it covered apparently. But they're not going to face that gauntlet of quarterbacks every single week. And you have to perform even against some of the top guys, right? That's not an excuse, but I'm curious to see what this pass defense looks like because when the playoffs come around, those are the guys you're going to be facing, right? Those are the guys you're going to be facing. You're not going to be facing, a bottom 2 quarterback in the league. Maybe you do if their defense is good enough, but I'd be shocked. So you got to be able to get the pass defense right. And I agree with what Bill Belichick is saying there. Coming up in the final part of the show, we'll dive a little bit more into the Ravens and Commanders Week 6 matchup. We'll do a little more stat diving and so much more coming up next year on Locked On Ravens. First, the show is brought to you by Game Time. There is so much hype and atmosphere when you watch basketball live. You get the celebrity sightings, the sound from the court, the feel of the crowd. And man, I have a ton of great memories from NBA games. I remember going to a Wizards game against the Nuggets, who were my team. I went many, many years ago with my family, and that's still one of the highlights for me, especially as a kid growing up. And Game Time now has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play even easier. Plus, Game Time has tickets for all events, concert shows, and so much more, not just sports. Game Time Picks, though, filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. So the Nuggets do play the Wizards again in DC this year. So maybe I got to look on Game Time, see what they have to offer over there. Maybe I'll snag some tickets and see what's going on in that game. They have a bunch of deals, super deals, and other tiers of deals you can look at. And the app has so many features such as Game Time Picks, seat views, lowest price guarantee, Game Time ticket coverage, and so much more. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account. Use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNFL, spell LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. We are back. Our final segment, Locked On Ravens. Kevin Allstriker here with you on this Taco Tuesday. Appreciate everybody again for being here Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. Eastern times when our regularly scheduled content comes out. We also go live for every single Ravens game, bonus episodes, other things that we have going on. We have a lot coming your way. Game day episodes at 6 a.m. Usually I'm getting ready for game time. So tons of great stuff here on Locked On Ravens. If you're an everydayer, thank you so much for tuning in to the show and giving your support each and every day. If you're new to the channel, welcome in. Hopefully you stay a while. If you're somewhere in the middle, welcome back to the show. Let's talk about the Ravens and Commanders. Again, 30-23, big win. We've been talking about it for the last couple of days. We'll continue that here today. Obviously, we'll pull up our game recap so we can dive into it again. 30-23 for the Ravens. Almost 500 total yards of offense for this Ravens team compared to just over 300 for the Commanders. Baltimore, 308 passing yards compared to Baltimore's 253. Baltimore, absolutely big play after big play on this Washington secondary, 11 yards per pass compared to 6.7 for the Commanders. You got 7.4 yards per play for Baltimore compared to 5.4 for the Commanders. And on third down, I've talked about this over the past 2 days. This is where the game was won for me. Ravens go 6 of 10 on third down for 60%. Commanders 4 of 12 for 33.3%. I mean, the Ravens were converting. The Commanders were not. That to me is where it was. And we have to talk about the quarterback battle as well, because I thought it was a really good one. Jaden Daniels versus Lamar Jackson. Lamar 20-26, 323 yards, 1 passing touchdown, 1 interception. That comes out to 77% completion percentage. Jaden Daniels on the other side, 24 for 35, 68.6 completion percentage, 269 yards, 2 passing touchdowns with no interceptions in there. I mean, this was just a good old-fashioned quarterback duel, I think. I mean, it was really good. I mean, both guys. Lamar had the interception, which, by the way, ball hit off of Mark Andrews, was not his fault. But both guys were dotting up targets. They were making smart decisions. You know, they were using their legs when needed, although to both guys, or both defenses credit, I guess, they weren't necessarily super effective with their legs. Lamar had one big run, but was pretty stifled otherwise, and Jaden really couldn't get anything going on the ground as well. You know, ground game wasn't necessarily – I mean, Derrick Henry had 132 yards, right? That's huge. But Commanders running game stifled, 2.9 yards per carry given up by this Ravens defense. You love to see that. And then I think the way that the Ravens spread the ball around with Lamar and the efficiency Lamar did it with. I mean, top 2 targets for Lamar, Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman. And pull up Zay's stats right here. I have the graphic. 9 catches on 9 targets for 132 yards for Zay. And then Rashad Bateman, you get 4 catches on 4 targets for 71 yards. So between both guys, 13 catches on 13 targets. That's major efficiency, mega efficiency from Lamar Jackson. And that's all stuff that with Lamar, he's never going to be a guy that throws for 500 passing yards a game. But there's this narrative that like, oh, he's going to throw for like 180 every game. That's not who he is. He has before, and he has done it multiple times now this season. I mean, back-to-back games, 300 yards passing, right? Lamar is good because this team can win by 30 with his gravity if he throws for 180 yards, and this team can win by 30 if he throws 300 yards, right? Honestly, some of the games we've seen this team win by big margins is when Lamar goes like 15 of 20 for 190 yards, and then he has like 4 touchdowns. Like, it's the efficiency he plays with, and I love that, especially because we are now seeing him take the short stuff, take the intermediate stuff. He's not forcing things. He's a very low mistake player. And that all complements, especially what we were talking about in that first part of the show. It all complements each other because when that passing game is working, and again, I mentioned that Sam Njoku breakdown in the second part of the show. Sam highlighted it where Washington was selling out time and time again to stop this Ravens run game. And then the Ravens just ran play action off of that, and with the route running of Zay Flowers, the route running of Rashad Bateman, Mark Andrews gets back involved in this game. Other guys are able to work their way in. You cover these guys one-on-one, it's probably going to be a bad day for you. So that makes the question of, for defenses, well, do we sell out to stop the run? But then, oh man, what happens there? And then, okay, well, if we don't do that and we try to stop the pass, well, now the run game's going to gash us. That is the ultimate dilemma that these defenses have to face. That is what makes facing this Baltimore offense so difficult. Terry McLaurin got behind the Ravens defense a couple of times. I think Baltimore has to be better at shutting down the opposing best wide receiver. And look, they're the opposing best wide receiver for a reason. They're really talented players. But I would just, for example, when the Ravens play the Steelers, all right, let's just talk about that. when the Ravens play the Steelers, Pittsburgh has George Pickens and literally nobody else. Literally nobody else. We can talk about the Cowboys. They have CD and I think Jalen Colbert's a solid player. Brandon Cooks is all right. I know he's injured right now. But wide receiver-wise, if you're the Ravens and you play the Steelers here, just bracket George Pickens and make someone else beat you. I think the Ravens need to do a bit of a better job at doing that. But the run defense is dominant. Travis Jones looks awesome. We mentioned Ngakoue, who's up on the active roster now. That little hop chop move is lethal, and he looks so good in his second stint in Baltimore. I think the Ravens just need to sign somebody off their couch every season from now on. Kyle Van Noy last year, Ngakoue this year, pass rusher off the couch. That's the new Raven way, right? That's what the Ravens have to do from now on. But again, a really solid game for Baltimore. Kept the Commanders really within, reach the entire time. Never really let them get super close, right? Felt like the Ravens were in control for most, if not all, of this game. Commanders certainly made runs, but shout out to the Ravens getting the job done in week 6. 4-game winning streak. They're going for 5 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in week 7. That's all I have for you today, though, on Locked On Ravens. Thank you so much for tuning in to the show today. Again, on the way out, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube and follow along and subscribe in audio form as well for 5 days a week, plus more of daily Ravens coverage. Coming up tomorrow, we'll be back here talking Ravens football. As always, stay tuned to see you right back here tomorrow on Locked On Ravens.